The sun was setting on the planet Euron. The sky turned purple and red as strange birds flew across the sky. In the thick jungle, a human named Rayan was walking carefully. His ship had crashed in this unknown world. He was alone, tired, and hungry, but he didn't give up. He had survived worse. Rayan was an explorer from Earth. His mission was peaceful, to study new planets. But things went wrong. His ship had been hit by space debris, and he had no way to call for help. He had been walking for 3 days, hoping to find a village or a signal tower. Suddenly, he heard shouting and strange growls nearby. He moved toward the sound, hiding behind tall red-leafed plants. In a small clearing, he saw a group of people in shiny armor. In the center was an old alien with a golden crown. It looked royal. He was surrounded by 3 giant beasts, with sharp claws and glowing eyes. The guards were frozen in fear. The beasts roared and attacked. The guards stepped back, unsure of what to do. The old alien raised a sword, but his arm was shaking. Without thinking, Rayan picked up a thick stick and ran forward. "Hey!" he shouted to get the beast's attention. The creatures turned toward him, surprised. One jumped at him, but Rayan rolled aside and hit it on the head. The beast screamed and ran into the trees. The second beast attacked, but Rayan stabbed it in the eye with a sharp stick. It fell, howling in pain. The third beast came from behind, but Rayan shouted and charged forward. He hit it in the mouth, then helped the old alien stand up. The alien looked shocked but nodded. The remaining guards finally moved and killed the last beast. It was over. The alien king, breathing heavily, looked at Rayan with deep eyes. "You are not from this world," he said in a low voice. Rayan nodded. "My ship crashed. I'm from Earth." "You saved my life," the king said. "I owe you everything." The guards stepped forward, now alert and respectful. They surrounded Rayan, but didn't attack. Instead, they led him to a royal vehicle made of crystal and light. Rayan sat beside the king as they flew toward the capital city. The capital of Euron was shining with blue towers and floating bridges. Alien creatures walked in beautiful robes. Lights danced in the air, and music played from strange flowers. Rayan was taken to the royal hall, a place filled with golden walls and thousands of glowing stones. The king sat on a high throne. A crowd gathered. They were told what had happened in the jungle. Gasps filled the room. Human had saved the king's life. The king stood slowly. "Rayan of Earth," he said loudly, "you showed great courage. My guards froze, but you moved. You are not just a man. You are a warrior." Rayan looked down a little shy. "I only did what was right." "You are more than brave," the king continued. "You deserve the highest gift from Euron." Before Rayan could speak, the king raised his hand. "Bring my daughter." The room went silent. Heavy doors opened, and a tall young woman walked in. She had green skin, silver hair, and bright purple eyes. She wore a long dress, but walked like a fighter. She looked around the room, confused. "My daughter, Lena," the king said proudly. "She is strong, beautiful, and full of spirit. I give her to you as a gift." The crowd began to clap, but the sound stopped quickly. Lena had not moved. Eyes were wide with shock. "What?" she shouted. "You cannot just give me to someone." The king frowned. "It is our way. You saved my life." "You are the highest gift." "I am not a prize," Lena shouted. "I am your daughter, not an object." Rayan stepped forward, raising his hands. "Please, your majesty," he said quickly. "I didn't ask for this. I don't want to take her like this. I just want peace." Lena looked at Rayan. She was angry, but she saw something in his eyes. Respect, not pride. "I won't be owned," she said to her father. King Oroc's face was red with anger. "You will obey. This human deserves honor." Lena turned and stormed out of the hall. The crowd didn't know what to do. The king looked embarrassed. Rayan felt uncomfortable. That night, Rayan stayed in a quiet guest room in the palace. He looked out the window at the stars. He had never asked for a reward. All he wanted was to go home. But now he was part of something strange. There was a knock at the door. Rayan opened it and saw Lena standing there, arms crossed. I don't. Like you, she said firmly. I understand, Rayan said calmly. I don't want to own anyone. She looked at him with surprise. You didn't ask for me, she said. Double quotes. No, I saved your father because it was the right thing to do. That's all? Lena stood there for a moment, then nodded. Good. Then maybe we can talk, but don't expect me to follow your orders. I wouldn't dream of it, Rayan said with a small smile. She rolled her eyes but didn't walk away. Outside, the stars continued to shine over the world of Euron. Two strangers, from different worlds, had met in the middle of something bigger than both of them. Something was changing. End of Part 1, Part 2. A strange reward, coming next. The next morning on planet Euron was calm, but inside the royal palace, feelings were not. The story of the human who saved King Orc had spread fast. Many people were talking about Rayan. Some called him a hero. Others whispered questions why. Had a human been so brave when trained guards were not? In his guest room, Rayan sat on a balcony, drinking warm herbal tea made from Euron leaves. He looked across the city. Everything was strange, yet peaceful. Floating cars passed silently in the sky. Tall towers sparkled in the sunlight. He still couldn't believe he had saved an alien king the day before. There was a soft knock. Rayan turned to see a young alien servant standing at the door. Sir Rayan, the servant said politely. King Orc wishes to speak with you. Rayan stood and nodded. I'll come. He followed the servant through long, quiet halls until they reached the royal chamber. King Orc sat alone on a tall seat made of silver and crystal. His crown rested beside him on the table. Welcome, Rayan of Earth, the king said with a deep voice. Good morning, your majesty, Rayan replied. The king looked at him with serious eyes. Last night was not as I planned, my daughter. Lena shamed me in front of the court. She has always been strong-willed. She does not understand our old ways. Rayan stood quietly, not wanting to offend him. I gave her as a gift, because in our tradition, it is the highest way to show honor, the king continued. But I see now that perhaps your people think differently. Yes, your majesty, Rayan said carefully. On Earth, no person belongs to another. We believe in freedom. King Orc nodded slowly. You are a strange people, but you are brave and honest. That is why I still want you near. My daughter will spend time with you. You will not force her, but you will learn from each other. Rayan was surprised. You want us to talk, as equals? Yes, the king said. I wish for peace between our kinds. My daughter must learn about Earth, and perhaps you will learn about Euron, Rayan agreed. It was better than being given a person. He would talk with Lena and try to build a friendship, nothing more. Later that day, Rayan met Lena in the palace gardens. She stood near a glowing tree, arms crossed, eyes watching him carefully. You again? She said. Only here to talk, Rayan replied. Your father asked me to. She sighed and sat on a smooth stone. So now you're his student too? Rayan laughed softly. Maybe we both are. There was silence for a moment. Birds with crystal wings flew above them. The garden was peaceful, but tension was still in the air. I don't like being treated like a gift, Lena said finally. I'm not a reward, I understand, Rayan said. I told him I didn't want to take you. I just want to go home, really. She looked at him closely. Then why are you still here? Because I can't leave. My ship is broken. And because your father trusts me now, he wants us to understand each other. Lena rolled her eyes. Understand? Your people are loud, curious, and strange. Always asking questions. Always exploring. Rayan smiled. And your people are quiet, proud, and don't ask many questions. She looked surprised. You're not wrong. They both laughed a little. I'm not like the others here, Lena said. I never wanted to be a princess. I wanted to explore, to see other worlds. But my father kept me here. He wants me to act like I belong to him. You don't belong to anyone, Rayan said. You belong to yourself.
Oh.
Lena looked at him again, her face softer now. That's not what most people say here. Then maybe they should start. They talked for hours. About Earth, about Euron, about old rules and new dreams. Rayon told her about the oceans of Earth, about flying machines and dancing festivals. Lena told him about the moon caves of Euron, where no sunlight ever touched, the glowing flowers that only opened at midnight. It was the first time Lena truly smiled. But not everyone was happy. Far across the palace, in the shadowy chambers near the war room, a tall alien stood alone, watching a glowing screen. His name was Commander Yell. He was strong, smart, and full of ambition. And he hated humans. He had watched everything, the rescue, the gift, and now the friendship. It made him angry. The king is weak, Yell whispered to himself. He gives his own daughter to a stranger. It's a human. It is shameful. He pressed a button, and a secret map appeared on the screen. Red dots showed hidden. Guards loyal to him. His plan was not yet ready, but soon. Soon the throne would be his. The human will ruin everything, he muttered. I must act before it's too late. That evening, Rayan returned to his guest room. He sat by the window thinking. Lena had changed during their talk. She was not just proud, she was thoughtful, even kind. There was fire in her spirit, but not hate. There was another knock. Lena stepped inside, holding a book made of thin crystal pages. This is for you, she said. It's our history. Read it, you'll understand us more. Rayan took it gently. Thank you. She hesitated, then asked, do humans believe in friendship between different kinds? Yes, Rayan said. We believe that even strangers can become friends. Lena nodded, then smiled just a little. Maybe, ... You are not so strange. After all. She turned and walked away. Rayan looked at the stars above. He had crashed here by accident. He had saved a king without thinking. He had been offered a reward he never wanted. But maybe, just maybe, this was not a mistake. Something important was beginning. End of Part 2, Part 3. The Rebellion Within, coming next. The palace of Euron was calm on the outside. But inside, silent tensions were rising like fire under cold stone. Rayan walked through the grand halls every day, learning more about the alien culture. He was now a guest of honor, but he still felt like an outsider. Only one person treated him like an equal, Lena, the king's daughter. They met often in the palace gardens or quiet libraries. Their conversations were full of questions, jokes, and learning. Though they came from different worlds, they understood each other. Both had dreams that didn't fit into the lives others expected for them. One evening, as they sat beneath a tree that glowed with soft blue light, Lena looked serious. Rayan, she said, do you ever feel like you don't belong in the world you were born into? Rayan nodded slowly. Yes. Many times. That's why I became an explorer. I wanted to find where I do belong. Lena sighed. I feel the same. My father loves me, I know. But he sees me as part of his rule, not as a person with my own choices. He's old-fashioned, Rayan replied. Maybe he doesn't know any other way. She shook her head. He won't change. He doesn't want Euron to change either. But the younger generation are starting to feel differently. Are you saying others think like you? Lena looked around to make sure no one was listening. Yes. Quietly, carefully. We talk in whispers. But there's a small group of us. We believe Euron needs to change. The old ways must end. Ron was surprised, but also impressed. That sounds like a movement. We call it the Circle, she said softly. Only a few know about it. We believe in choice, in freedom, in peace with outsiders. Not every alien wants war with other planets. Rayan leaned forward. Can I meet them? Lena hesitated. Maybe soon. I trust you. But if the king finds out, he will be angry. He doesn't take rebellion lightly. I'm not here to start trouble, Rayan said. But I want to help. If your people want change, maybe a human friend can support you. Lena smiled. You already have. But far across the palace, in the secret meeting room beneath the eastern tower, Commander Yell stood before a table full of maps and coded messages. His eyes were sharp and his voice was cold. "The human is getting too close to the princess," he said to his closest followers. "He's turning her against tradition." A younger officer asked, "Shall we remove him, sir?" "No, not yet," Yell replied. "If we act too soon, the king will notice. We must be careful." Another officer leaned forward. "What do we do then?" Yell pointed to a small mark on the map. "We create doubt, fear. We make the king believe that the human is not his friend, but his enemy." The plan was simple, but dangerous. The next day the king received a sealed message. It was from one of his guards loyal only to Yell. The message said, "The human and the princess meet in secret. He speaks of rebellion. He is not your friend." King Orc read the note several times. His heart was heavy. He had trusted Rayan. He had hoped the human would help bring peace between Earth and Euron. But this message made him doubt. Was the human truly dangerous? That evening, King Orc ordered guards to watch Rayan and Lena from a distance. In the garden, Rayan and Lena sat quietly again. She brought him a piece of paper with a list of names. "These are the members of the circle. Can't speak their names aloud. Some are royal workers, some are scholars, a few are even guards." Rayan looked at the list, then folded it carefully. "This is brave work, Lena, but it's dangerous too." "I know," she said. "But if we don't try, things will never change." Suddenly, Rayan felt a sharp, cold breeze. He looked around. Something didn't feel right. He saw a shadow. Behind a tree, then another on the roof. "Lena," he whispered, "I think we're being watched." She followed his eyes. "We need to go, now." They left the garden slowly, pretending nothing was wrong. But behind them, hidden guards followed their every step. That night, Rayan sat in his room thinking, wow. He now knew about the circle, the rebellion, and the desire for freedom in Euron, but he also knew they were being watched. Someone wanted them caught, or worse. There was a soft knock. It was Lena again. "We need to talk," she said, stepping inside quickly. "What happened?" Rayan asked. "One of our members, a palace cook, was taken for questioning today. No one knows why, but I'm sure it's connected to us." "They're starting to move against you," Rayan said. "You have to be careful," Lena nodded. "I think someone told my father. Maybe even lied to him." "We need proof," Rayan said. "If we can show your father the truth, he might listen." Lena looked doubtful. "He listens to his war advisors more than his own daughter, especially Commander Yell." Rayan's eyes narrowed. "Then Yell is our problem." "Yes," Lena whispered. "He wants to control the throne." There was silence. Then Rayan stood up. "Let's find proof. We'll search his chamber if we have to." "You do that? Risk everything for us?" Rayan looked at her calmly. "You're not just the king's daughter now. You're my friend." Lena smiled again. "Then let's do it together." As they prepared their quiet mission, far above in the watchtower, Commander Yell smiled. He had seen everything. "Let them make their move," he whispered. "And when they do, I'll be ready." End of Part 3, Part 4, The Hidden Enemy, coming next. The night on planet Euron was quiet, but inside the tall palace walls, secrets moved like shadows. In one of the royal towers, two figures stood near a window, Rayan and Lena. They were not just friends now. They were allies, fighting a hidden battle for truth. Commander Yell, the king's trusted advisor, was the real danger. Rayan and Lena believed he was the one spreading lies and causing fear. They were sure he had sent the message that made King Orc question them. "We need proof," Rayan said in a whisper. "Something that shows your father who the real enemy is?" Lena nodded. "Commander Yell keeps many things in his private study. You must go there." Tonight, they planned carefully. Guards passed the halls and set times. They wore light armor and moved without sound. But Lena knew the palace well. She had lived there all her life. "Follow me," she said softly. "Stay close." They moved through quiet corridors, hiding behind pillars and tall vases. The moonlight through the crystal ceiling helped guide them. Every step was careful. Every sound made their hearts beat faster. After 15 minutes, they reached the eastern tower. This was where Yell had his personal rooms. Lena placed her hand on a small wall panel.
How are you doing?
It glowed, then opened a secret door. I used to explore the palace when I was younger, she whispered with a smile. They entered the study. It was dark and filled with strange weapons, books, and glowing maps. The walls showed star charts and plans. One table had letters with royal stamps, some had the king's symbol. Others were marked with red ink. Rayan walked to the desk. He opened a drawer and found papers written in code. Can you read this? He asked. Yes, Lena said. It's an old war code used by the generals. She read quickly, eyes scanning every line. Her face became pale. These are messages. 2 secret supporters, she said. Commander Yell has been building a private army. He wants to take over. Rayan found a strange device on the desk. It was small and square, glowing red. This is a tracker, he said. He placed it on me. That's how he always knew where I was. Lena's voice grew angry. He wants my father to fear you. He wants to control him, and if that fails, he may try to take the throne by force. Rayan took the papers and hid them in a cloth bag. We need to take these to your father. Yes, Lena said. We must hurry. Just then, the door opened. A tall shadow entered the room. Commander yelled. He wore a dark cloak. His silver eyes looked directly at them. So, he said calmly, the princess and the human thief? I expected this. Lena stepped forward. You're a traitor, Yell smiled. No, child. I am a patriot. Your father is weak. He lets humans walk our halls. He gives power to those who do not deserve it. You lie to him, Rayan said. You use fear to gain control. Yell took a step closer. The throne needs strength, not soft hearts. And soon the people will understand that. Suddenly, Yell pulled a small blade from his side. Lena moved quickly, pressing a button on the wall. A flash of light burst out, blinding Yell for a second. She grabbed Rayan's hand. Run! They ran through the back passage. Yell followed, shouting, For guards, this way. Lena led him through narrow stairs and into an old hall. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Yell's voice was loud and full of hate. Stop them. They are spies. As they neared the throne room, guards appeared some. Confused, some ready to fight. Wait, Rayan shouted. We have proof. The commander's lying. But the guards pointed their weapons. Drop your bag. Lena stepped in front of Rayan. You will not harm him. Suddenly a deep voice spoke behind the guards. Let them pass. It was King Orc. He walked forward, eyes focused on Lena. And Rayan, what is this? Rayan stepped forward, carefully placing the bag in front of the king. Your Majesty, he said, this bag has letters and devices from Commander Yell's study. They show his plans. He has been lying to you, King. Orc opened the bag. He read the letters slowly. His hands shook. His face became pale. You entered Yell's chambers without permission, the king said. I had to, Lena replied. You never would have believed me without proof. The king looked at them, then nodded. I must see the truth for myself. He ordered the guards to search Yell's rooms. Within an hour, they returned with more evidence, hidden weapons, secret maps, and lists of loyal soldiers. Yell was brought before the court. He stood tall, not afraid. I did what was best for Euron. He said, You are too soft, Orc. You let outsiders steal our future. You betrayed your people, the king said, and you lied to your king. Jell was taken away, and the room fell silent. King Orc looked at Rayan and Lena. I owe you both. A great debt. I judged too quickly. I let fear cloud my mind. He stepped down from his throne and placed his hand on Rayan's shoulder. You are not just a hero. You are a true friend of Euron. Rayan bowed his head. Thank you, Your Majesty. The king then turned to his daughter. And you, Lena. I did not listen to your voice. But now I see your strength. You are not just my daughter. You are a leader. Lena's eyes were full of emotion. I only wanted to help our people. The king smiled gently. And and you have. That night the palace was quiet again, but something had changed. Rayan sat on the balcony, watching the stars. Lena joined him, sitting beside him with a smile. You were brave, she said. So were you, Rayan replied. We still have much work to do, she said. The circle, the future of Euron. Everything is just beginning. And I'll help you, Rayan said. As long as I'm here. They looked at the sky together, to people from different worlds, all walking the same path. End of Part 4, Part 5. Escape and Truth coming next. After Commander Yell's arrest, the palace felt different. The halls were quieter. Guards stood more alert, but the danger had not completely passed. King Orc now knew the truth about Yell. He had seen the letters and secret plans. He had thanked. Rayan and Lena in front of the court. But not all the people trusted the human yet, and some of Yell's followers had disappeared. They are still out there, Lena whispered to Rayan as they walked in the garden. Waiting, watching maybe. Planning again? Rayan nodded. They won't stop that easily. And you and I are their targets now. That night, Lena called a secret meeting with the members of the Circle in an old chamber below the palace. These were the people who believed in peace, freedom, and change. There were only 7 members present now. The rest were hiding. The king believes us, Lena said. But the kingdom is still divided. We must be careful. One of the members, an older scholar, spoke. Some of Yell's soldiers have gone into the deep forests. They might be starting a rebellion of their own. I need more than the king's trust, Rayan added. We need the people's trust, too. How? Someone asked. They only see Rayan as an outsider. Lena looked at Rayan, then said, Then we go to the people. We speak directly. Not as royal or human, but as truth seekers. The next morning, Lena and Rayan prepared to visit a nearby city called Varnell, far from the capital. It was an important place where many voices could be heard. The king allowed it, but with 2 guards for safety. Their journey through the Silver Forest was peaceful at first. The trees glowed with soft light, and small creatures followed them playfully. But as they neared a narrow pass between 2 hills, something felt wrong. The wind stopped. The birds disappeared. Rayan turned to Lena. Stay close. Suddenly, a group of masked attackers jumped from the trees. They wore dark armor and moved quickly. They were Yell's loyal followers. Them alive. One of them shouted. The 2 guards tried to fight, but were quickly surrounded. Rayan grabbed a fallen guard's weapon and stood in front of Lena. Run, he shouted. No, she replied. We stay together. They fought bravely, side by side. Rayan's earth combat training helped him block and dodge. Lena, trained in royal self-defense, struck with speed and skill. But there were too many. A blast of light hit the ground near them. Smoke covered the area. When it cleared, Rayan and Lena were gone. The attackers looked around, confused. But the 2 had jumped into a deep river nearby. The water pulled them. Far away, hours later, Rayan woke up on a rocky shore. His clothes were wet and his body ached. He looked around. Lena. He called out weakly. I'm here, came a voice behind him. She sat beside a tree, holding her arm. You're hurt, Rayan said, moving to help her. It's just a cut, she replied. We got lucky. They were far from the road, deep in the jungle. The city of Varnell was still 2 days away on foot. We can't go back now, Lena said. The enemy knows our plan. We'll try again. Then we go forward, Rayan said. We reach Varnell. Speak to the people. Let them hear your voice. The journey was hard. They walked through thick forests, crossed cold rivers, and climbed rocky paths. At night, they slept under trees and watched the stars. One night, as they sat near a small fire, Lena looked at Rayan. You didn't have to come, she said softly. You could have stayed safe in the palace. I came because it matters, he said. You matter. People matter, and I believe in you. She smiled, the firelight dancing in her silver eyes. You're not like anyone I've ever met, she said. Rayon chuckled. I'm from Earth. We're full of surprises. Finally, on the third morning, they saw the tall towers of Varnell. In the distance, the city was alive with markets, floating lights, and wide roads filled with people. But their clothes were torn, and they looked tired. Some guards at the gate stopped them. No entry without royal permission, one guard said. Lena pulled out a small medallion. Princess Lena, this is official business. The guards stepped back in shock and quickly allowed them through. Inside the city, they found a small stage where city leaders spoke. A crowd had gathered to hear the latest news about the capital. Rayan and Lena stepped onto the stage. Some people whispered. Others stared. Lena raised her hand. My name is Lena, daughter of King Orc, she said loudly. And this is Rayan, a human who saved my father's life. We come with truth. Rayan stepped beside her. Not all humans are enemies. And not all Uronians want war. Lena continued. Commander Yell lied too many. Planned to take the throne and blame the human. But we found the proof. He has been removed, and now we must rebuild trust. Some people nodded. Others looked unsure. Then an old woman from the crowd spoke. What does the human want from us? Nothing, Rayan said gently. I didn't come here for reward. I came to help a friend. That word from echoed in the air. Lena looked at the crowd. Euron must change, not with fear or war, but with truth, respect, and hope. The people clapped slowly, then louder. The sound grew strong. The truth had reached their hearts. Later, that night, Lena and Rayan stood on a high balcony of a city tower, watching the lights below. You did it, Rayan said. They listened. We did it, Lena replied. Together, Rayan looked at her. What happens now? Lena took a deep breath. We returned to the capital. With the people's support, and we keep building a better Euron, he nodded. And I'll be with you until the journey is done. Above them, the stars glowed quietly, watching to travelers who had become more than messengers. They were now a symbol of what two worlds could be. Together, end of Part 5, Part 6, Return. Of the brave coming next. The wind blew softly across the towers of Varnell, carrying voices of hope. People now spoke openly of peace and change. The princess and the human had touched many hearts. Still, their work was not finished. Lena and Rayan stood on the balcony of the city hall. Below them, Euronians waved small lights, their eyes full of belief. After years of silence, someone had finally spoken for the future. We have their support now, Lena said quietly. But the road ahead is still hard. Rayan nodded. Your father must hear what the people want. He must see the new Euron. Leave at sunrise, she said. Early the next morning, they began their journey back to the capital. This time, they had company. A group of peaceful citizens from Varnell chose to travel with them. They were teachers, workers, young leaders, people who believed in Lena's voice. As they walked through the silver forests, more joined them from small villages and nearby towns. By the time they reached the gates of the capital, the group had grown to hundreds of guards at the gate watched carefully, unsure what to do. I am Princess Lena, she called out. Let us enter. We come in peace. The guards opened the gates, slowly and silently. The people marched into the city not with weapons, but with songs, signs, and hope. The streets filled with whispers. People came out of their homes curious. In the royal palace, King Orcs stood by the window watching the growing crowd. A servant rushed to him. Your Majesty, the princess has returned. She is not alone, I see, the king said. Call the council and prepare the royal hall. Inside the grand hall, members of the royal court gathered. The tall doors opened, and Lena entered, dressed in a simple robe. Followed by Rayan and a few chosen citizens from the march, King Orcs sat on his throne. His face was calm, but serious. You left without warning, he said, and now you return. With a crowd, I left with a purpose, Lena replied. I returned with the voice of the people. The room grew silent. King Orc looked around. Speak then. Let the voice be heard. Lena stepped forward. Euron is strong. But we must not be ruled by fear. Commander Yell used lies to control us. But he is gone now. We must not return to silence. She looked toward Rayon. He nodded and stepped forward. I am from Earth, he said, but I have never wanted power or reward. I saved your life because it was the right thing to do. I stood by your daughter because she is brave and wise. Together we saw what your people need. They want peace. They want freedom. They want respect. A few council members murmured. One stood up. We cannot forget the old ways so easily. We don't ask you to forget, Lena said. We ask you to grow, to lead Euron with kindness. And vision, not just power. Another voice spoke. This time it came from the crowd behind Lena. I was once a soldier under Commander Yell, a man said. He lied to us. But the princess told the truth. I stand with her now. One by one, others spoke. A teacher, a farmer, a young girl who once feared humans. Their voices filled the room like soft thunder. King Orcs stood slowly. He walked down from his throne and stood before Lena and Rayon. He looked at his daughter. You speak with strength. You speak with heart, I see now. I was blind. Then he turned to Rayon. You, who came from a distant world, showed more honor than some of my own, but you did not take my gift. Instead, you offered friendship. In that, you changed us. He raised his hand. Let all of Euron hear. The old way of giving people as gifts is no more. No person will ever be treated as property again. The crowd gasped, then slowly began to cheer. Some cried. Some clapped. A new page in Euron's history had been turned. That evening, a celebration was held in the city square. Lights floated in the air. Music filled the streets. People danced, not just with each other, but with joy in their hearts. Lena and Rayon walked side by side through the crowd. Children waved at them. Elders blessed them. This is the Euron I dreamed of, Lena said. You made it real, Rayon. Replied, they stopped near a fountain. Lena looked at him carefully. My father offered me to you as a gift once, she said, but you didn't accept. Because you're not a gift, Rayon said. You're a person, a leader, a friend. She smiled. And what if I choose now? To walk beside you. Not because I'm given, but because I wish it. Rayon smiled back. Then I would say yes, with all respect. They stood there quietly, two different lives tied by courage, trust, and change. Later that night, Rayon stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. A servant walked up with a message. Your ship is ready, Sir Rayon. The king has arranged it. You can return to Earth. Rayon held the note for a long time. He looked out at the glowing city. People below danced under floating lights, and somewhere in that crowd was Lena. He had a choice now. End of Part 6. Part 7. A new bond coming next. The sky above Euron sparkled with twin moons. The capital city, once filled with silence and fear, now danced with lights, music, and laughter. Peace had started to bloom in the hearts of people, and hope was no longer a secret dream. Rayon stood. On the palace balcony, the cool wind touched his face. He held the message the royal servant had given him. Your ship is ready. You may return to Earth whenever you choose. He looked out toward the crowd. Somewhere out there was Lena, the alien princess who had once been called a gift, but who had become something more, something real. He folded the message and placed it in his pocket. Later that night, he found Lena near the city's main square. She was talking to a group of children, laughing gently as they showed her hand-drawn pictures of her and Rayon. When she saw him, her eyes lit up. You're leaving, aren't you? She asked quietly after the children ran off to play. My ship is ready, Rayon replied, but I haven't decided yet. Lena looked down. I knew this moment would come. You've changed, Euron, he said. You stood strong even when your own people doubted you. I did. I didn't do it alone, she replied, looking up at him. You stood by me? You believed in me when others wouldn't? Rayon smiled. You gave me a reason to stay longer than I planned. There was a short silence between them. Then Lena said softly, So what will you choose now? Rayon looked around the square. People were smiling. Children were safe. The city was alive. Again, I came here as a soldier, he said. I became a hero by accident, but I stayed because of you. The next day, King Orcs called for a final meeting in the royal garden. The sky was clear, and birds flew overhead. The king stood tall but peaceful. Sir Rayon, he began, you saved my life. You brought peace to my land. And you taught me something I had forgotten long ago, respect. Rayon bowed his head. It was an honor to help, Your Majesty. The king turned to Lena, and you, my daughter, have grown into a leader I am proud of. You led the people with truth and bravery. I now see that you were never rebellious, only honest. Lena's eyes shone with quiet pride. The king stepped forward. Now I ask one final thing, not as a ruler, but as a father and as a citizen of Euron. What path do you choose, Rayon? Will you return to Earth, or is your place here? All eyes turned to Rayon. The wind blew gently. He took a deep breath. I came from Earth. It will always be my home, he said. I found something I never expected. I found meaning, friendship, and someone who inspires me. He looked at Lena. I would like to stay if Euron welcomes me. Lena stepped forward without waiting. Then I welcome you. Not as a guest, or a soldier, or a hero, but as someone I choose to walk beside. As a partner. The crowd that had gathered in the garden clapped softly, smiling. In the days that followed, Rayon was given a new home in the city. He didn't live in a palace. Instead, he chose a small, quiet house in the learning district, where students came to study peace, languages. In history, Rai began teaching about Earth. He told stories of his people, not just of their strength, but of their kindness, their mistakes, and their dreams. In return, he learned the deep traditions of Euron. Lena continued her work too. She traveled across cities and villages, listening to the people and building trust. The council grew stronger, more balanced. New voices were allowed to speak, though they came from different worlds. Rayon and Lena worked as a team, equal, honest, and hopeful. One morning, as the sun rose across the glowing horizon, Rayon stood. With Lena near the old wall where he had once saved the king, that day feels like a lifetime ago, Rayon said. I remember the look on your face. Lena laughed. Like you couldn't believe you were really saving an alien king. I couldn't, he smiled. But I'm glad I did. She became quiet for a moment, then turned to him. You were given me as a gift. But you refused, she said. That changed everything. You were never mine to take, he replied. She nodded. And yet, here we are. Not by force, but by choice. They looked at each other, not with fear or confusion, but with trust. As the sun climbed higher, the capital city awakened once more. Bells rang softly in the distance. A bird flew overhead, carrying a small flag with a symbol of unity, half Earth, half Euron. Peace was not perfect. There were still problems to solve, wounds to heal, and lessons to learn. But the people of Euron had taken the first true step, all because one human showed honor. And one princess chose her voice over silence. Together, they proved that different worlds could walk the same path, and maybe, just maybe, that is the beginning of something even greater, the end.